And to do that for 2 years nearly, I can't imagine that.
Well, it was right nice. It was right nice there, and it was cool in the summertime. You could just raise the flaps up on it, you see, and it was just cool and nice. And of course, in the wintertime, you could buckle them flaps down around the little, I had about that much wall in there from the ground up, and I had it fixed where you could turn them flaps up and it's cool enough in there.
But you all were camping out, is what it amounted to. You weren't living, you were camping.
That's right. My wife, she had a big old trunk. I guess it was about 3 foot one way and 2 foot the other. And that's what she used for a dining table. And of course we had, at them days you could get apple boxes. And she just fixed up an apple box, made a little cushion, put on it, little skirts down on that thing. You thought it was a little stool. And that's what we sat on to eat.
But did you feel a little guilty about having your family out in the oil field in a tent?
No, I didn't. Everybody else was that way, so why would I feel guilty? Everybody was that way.
But today it seems so strange that you would live in a tent all that time in the oil field.
Well, I know it's a strange thing, but people at that time, we're living in a different world today than we was then. People are altogether different. That time, I wasn't afraid to lay down anywhere and go to sleep. There wasn't nobody going to bother you. And so that's the way it.
But the snow came one winter, and you had to stay up all night to keep the tent from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I stayed up all night to keep the tent from falling in on. Of course, you talk about the wife. The wife was it was just kind of a vacation, looked like to her. She enjoyed it. She was right off the farm. She never been nowhere, and I guess 15, 20 mile radius is what was raised in. And that was a big world. You didn't go nowhere because you didn't have nowhere to go. On a wagon and a buggy or walk,
but to live in
ride a horseback.
But to live in a tent seems so primitive.
Yeah, I know. But we enjoyed it. Absolutely enjoyed it.
I want you to tell me about releasing oil from the pit.
Well, we had a well. They drilled a well and it was flowing 1,000 barrels a day, pipeline oil. And I was firing a boiler up on the hill there, and I'd run that oil. So that well came in the second time. It increased its pressure on the bottom some way or another. And it come in and blown the separator up. And so it broke out all the lines, and oil was going all everywhere. I had to shut the fire out of the boiler. And so they came out and closed the well in, laid a line over into this big pit, and they turned it into that big pit. So it wasn't a couple of days till it done fill that pit up. And they didn't have anywhere else to put it. And I was pumping it away from there just fast as I could, I pumped 13,000 barrels away every day. And the pit finally filled up and it was going to run over. So it had 5 liters on the bottom of it. I had a pump tied on to one of them, pumping it in the stock tank to get it out of that pit and ship it away from there. And it was going to run over, and he told me not to let it run over. And there wasn't but a thing in the world I could do on that. There's 4 bleeders on the bottom. I'd open them up at night. I'd open them up, and run them at night, close them off at daytime.
How much oil did you bleed off?
Oh, no, I didn't measure that. Well, I don't know. I don't have no idea.
You bled off thousands and thousands. Did you feel guilty about bleeding off oil?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I did. I felt that it was just a waste, but there wasn't anything else you could do. I had orders not to let the pit run over, and so I couldn't pump it away from that no faster.
What would have happened if the pit had overflowed?
Well, it had broke the levee and would have lost 85,000 barrels.
So you might have pumped out 85,000 barrels to save 85,000 barrels.
Well, that's right too. I might have. But anyway, we saved the pit levee, and we finally got it down to where we could handle it.
Tell me again about all the oil that was on the creek.
Well, there's about 6 inches of oil on the creek. I'd say 6 inches. I didn't measure anything, but it was thick on the top of the water. And it was thicker in places because there'd be a log in the water, across the creek. That oil would bank up against that log, and because that's the way people picked it up, that put something across it. Must have had 6 inches of oil on it from Smackover down to the river. And it was in August, and somebody struck a match the wrong place. I don't know where that happened at, but they did, and it caught a fire. And it was dry, and everything was dry. And that was the awfulest fire that I have ever witnessed in my life. And it burned down numerous wooden derricks, there's a lot of wooden derricks them days. And it burned lots of those down, and it burned up a lot of rigs and belt hauls and so forth and so on, around rigs. Until it burned out. There wasn't a thing in the world you could do on it. Just try to stop it up yonder somewhere and let it burn out.
You all burned up the creek.
Yeah, we burned the creek. I told them the creek was afire, and it was. That oil would get hot in there and it'd boil. It boiled over, and then there was pits along the shoreline of that creek, and they had oil in them, you see, at that time. And they'd get a fire, and then it'd just boil over. They'd get a fire, and there'd be a little water in it, and it'd boil over, and they'd come over the top of them pits, and the fire just run off, and there'd just be a fire running off toward the creek. they bring in a well pretty often. And it just goes straight up, 100 feet high, and the wind is just, just carried in the mist for miles. And it was just dripping off the trees and the grass and stuff like that everywhere. All over the oil field, Of course, you could get a distance away and you wouldn't find that.
Tell me about, therefore, you had no chicks or
No, you didn't. At that time, that oil, you see, taking care of that, it killed all the flies and chiggers and ticks and stuff like that. You wasn't bothered with nothing like that.
But there was a lot of violence in Death Valley, and I understand that every morning here in the rough end of town, they just gathered up the dead people. Tell me about that.
Well, they did. I didn't live here in Smackover. I didn't know much about that. I'd hear about it. I lived out there at Snow Hill, in my tent. I stayed at home, and I didn't hear nothing about it. I didn't see nothing. But I'd hear about them picking up people, that died. I don't know what, some of them get killed, some of them get shot. And some of them would just die. That's all there is to it. That many people, you could, some of them going to die,
Well, you knew that in Death Valley that there was a violent end to town.
Oh yeah, we had a out there in Washita City. That's between the creek there and Snow Hill. There was a gambling house. The fella called him Airplane Slim. He run it, and they'd get people that get killed, robbed, and killed over there at his place. So, bunch of guys went over there one night, and they taken that place, tarred and feathered old Airplane Slim, and told him that they didn't want to see him anymore. Sure enough, they didn't. He left. So that done away with that place.
I've read what someone else said about Smackover. Said, well, it weren't nothing to have 4 or 5 dead men picked up from overnight.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I heard about them, and there was lots of people that would get killed. I don't know how they'd get killed, but I don't know anything about the racket there, and I was out of that because I didn't drink, I didn't gamble, and so that left me out, you see.
But I would think that there was a sense that you were in kind of a dangerous area when you.
Oh yeah, there was a sense of that all the time. You was looking to get hijacked. Now there was a lot of that went on here. You didn't want to go to town by yourself at night and walk back. You see, if you did, well, you'd lose your money if you had any.
And you might lose your life.
That's right. That's right. It's a good way to lose your life, because they got to step on you whenever they banner you. They got to step on you, and if you attempt to protect yourself, well, you might get killed.
There were a lot of men that openly carried guns.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you could carry a gun all right if you wanted to.
But this was a fascinating time.
Yes, sir. It certainly was. You'd see whales blow in, And there would be, maybe there'd be a half a dozen of them come in the same day because they were drilling them just fast as they could. And it was really nice to watch it. Of course, you get rained on and with oil. You couldn't, my wife couldn't wash the clothes or anything like that. You'd have to send them out of the territory to get them washed.
You did things back then that no one would do today.
Yes, sir, I imagine I did. Yeah, in the oil field work, well, I did work that people wouldn't hardly do today because that's just too big, too much.